Welcome back to another episode of the Fishing Doctor's Adventures. I know I haven't been posting very much lately, and it's because, quite frankly, I didn't do a whole lot of fishing this summer. And when I didn't often bring the camera along to video. I have three kids now, three girls. The third one is 1 year old, so I kind of have a bit of footage just stacking up from the last couple of years, and my motivation to edit them isn't that great since YouTube made all the changes, and it doesn't seem like we always hit very well on the algorithm. But looking back through the footage, there is some interesting stuff, and I was watching this one from last spring when I was feeding our rainbow trout out in the back, some garden worms. Anytime I'm digging up and turning over the soil. Kids like pulling up the worms, or myself, and gathering them up and sharing some of them with the rainbow trouts in the pond. And, you learn interesting things by watching trout kind of in a more natural environment and understanding how they behave. So, from watching this, because there was two or three or even more rainbow trout in the area, you really get to see, just like other animals, how actually territorial these fish really are. Now, these rainbow trout probably range in size from 16 up to just over 18 inches. And you'll see the larger ones are always chasing away the little ones. Of course, they think they've found the hot spot. These worms just fall out of heaven, keep coming down over and over, and they're just filling their guts till they're almost so stuffed they don't even really get too excited when the worms come dropping down. But they still continue to maintain that territory. They get less interested in the food, but they manage that territory. Now look at this. I dumped in a whole bunch of worms. You'll see the other trout take this as their option. They're like, woohoo, I can grab a bunch while he's distracted. The smaller fish comes in and grabs a bunch. So anyways, back to this territorial thing. So even when there isn't food there, the biggest fish, who's decided that's his territory, manages his territory and chases away the other fish. So why is this? And how can this influence our fishing history when we're out there on the lake? Now, we can't really trigger territorial bites on lakes because we don't really, bait areas. We don't, put out tons of worms in the water and attract fish. I think it's legal, right? Most provinces in Canada, you're not allowed to do this. But can you work with this kind of idea in a natural environment, thinking about areas where there's high numbers of bait fish, or high numbers of chironomids coming off, or anything? Is there going to be some sort of territorial activity? And if fishing all of a sudden slows down because you've caught a bunch of fish, is it because the fish that were preferentially sitting on that territory have already been caught? I was starting to think that I've used this theory ice fishing a lot, where I'll set up along a shallow shoal area, and bam, 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 you'll catch several fish right away. And then it'll stop. And then I'll just move like 50 yards down the shoreline, and bam, 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 I get fish. And I just keep moving like 50, 100 yards down the shoreline, because these fish, especially along shorelines, are like highly territorial, I see. When I'm watching them down the hole, quite often I'll watch these rainbow trout. It'll be the same fish, and they'll just swim back and forth along this certain, descript shoreline, like a little curve or a point or something, and they'll just cruise back and forth along there, especially if there's a high concentration of forage, right? If there's not much forage in the lake, I often see the fish just cruise the shores, and they won't necessarily just stick to one area. But if you're fishing in an area where you think fish are feeding, and it slows, the bite slows where you're at, sometimes just making a small move, down a little ways, like a new territory, okay? Because there could be fish there that are considered that their territory. And when you put your lure down or bait or whatever, bam, fish on, okay? So that's my thinking. And that was the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get my video notifications. And thanks for watching as always. Hit the like button. It really helps get more views, and share this video. See you later.